Welcome to this joyous occasion. My name is Raj. I serve as a chairman of the Town of West Boylston Select Board. Today, I am honored to be joined by fellow Select Board members, Mr. Christopher Pucho, Mr. Pat Crowley. I would also like to welcome State Representative Jim O'Day. He is not here. At this time, I would like to introduce our interim town administrator, James Purcell, who will be tonight's Master of Ceremonies. I now declare the opening of pending ceremony of Chief Mark Sadowski. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. It's a bit uncomfortable. The sun is right in my eyes. So if you don't mind, I'll step back a little bit from the podium. That's okay? Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I come from a family of decorated fire officials that include 2 chiefs and a lieutenant. 2 of those characters are here tonight. Yet this is my first pinning ceremony, so forgive me in advance for any awkwardness that I make in approach here tonight. I've been asked to describe the process by which the town transitioned from the great Tom Welsh to day one of Chief Sadowski's new term. Following Chief Welsh's announcement retirement, our able former town administrator Nancy Lucia conducted a search process that met all of the best practice methodologies. In January of this year, the fire chief job description was tested and tweaked for relevance in today's world. The job was subsequently advertised on a statewide basis with an application deadline of April 25. The applications were reviewed by a panel of experts that included Chief Welsh, Ms. Lucia, Chief Dave Hulbert of the Sterling Fire Department, Chief Rick Sakar of the Harvard Fire Department, and Chief Kyle Butterfield of the Westminster Fire Department. I know Chief Hulbert is here tonight. Would you raise your hand, please, Chief? Thank you so much for your help. The panel developed a short list of candidates and conducted rigorous interviews, reference, and background checks. Captain Mark Sadowski of the Southborough Fire Department was the top-ranked candidate on every panelist's scorecard. And when I arrived in the first week in June, I was tasked with coordinating the trilateral negotiations between the selectmen, the office of the town administrator, and Captain Sadowski. A lot of give and take, took a while, but we got our man. I'd like to acknowledge and appreciate the selectmen's active participation in this process, as well as the outgoing advice, or ongoing advice of Chief Welsh. And at this time, I'd like to ask Chief Welsh to reflect on his years of service to the town of West Boylston Fire Department. Chief?
Good evening. I would like to take a few minutes to thank a number of people before I formally give up my reign as the West Boylston Fire Chief. First and foremost, I want to thank my dedicated members of this department, past and present. Without these individuals, we could not provide the great service to the town of West Boylston. I would also like to acknowledge my administrative assistant, Kate. Her hard work in tracking and organizing this transition of the new fire chief will be a smooth one. I would like to thank the town administrators, select board members, as well as the town committees I have worked with through the years. And a special thanks goes to Chief Mark and his department. We work well together, and I hope this will continue. I would like to acknowledge Leslie Burton and her entire accounting department, who did a phenomenal guiding me through territory I felt I had no business being in, but we made it, and everyone got paid. The building department and all the department heads were there to assist, whenever the need arose, and I want to thank them all. People will ask, am I going to miss the fire service? And my reply has always been the same. I will miss the West Boylston townspeople the most. It's been a great honor serving them for 45 years, and I especially appreciate their support over the years, especially at town meetings. 45 years, it's been a long time, but when you know it's time, you know it's time. So it's been a great ride, and I do not regret one moment, but there just comes a time in somebody's life that you reflect back and you say it's time to turn it over to new blood, and that's what I felt when I was ready to do this. Lastly, I would like to thank my wife, Ellen, and my family. Without their support, understanding this job would not be possible. Thanks for giving up just about every Wednesday night for fire and EMS trainings. Thank you for keeping a dinner for me on those late calls, especially when they occurred on a holiday. Thanks for tolerating the beep, beep, beep of the pager at all hours of the night. I know she wants to pin my pager on you, Chief, by the end of this evening. Ellen, thanks for listening and hearing me vent. Even though you had no clue who or what I was talking about most of the time, they were like characters in a novel to her. The most important thing Ellen offered was the hugs she gave and my kids gave to me on the return of those horrific calls over the years. Thank God there were not a lot, but after 45 years, they do add up. These hugs, family time, was the best therapy I could ever ask for. Thanks, Ellen, and those flowers are for you. And as my crew will tell you, there's never a time that I just don't stop talking. I usually get to the flats and on the way home at the Sterling condominiums when I call back to the station and say, hey, one more thing. Will you remember to put the flag up? Will you remember to do this? And I've been pretty much noted for that. So one last thing before I go. I have flowers here from Chief Sadowski for his wife, Christine, to thank her for supporting him in taking this job. It is truly a decision the entire family must support. These flowers are to thank you in advance for the following. Kissing your Wednesday nights goodbye. I would suggest you start a book club. For the times Mark will say, I have one thing left to do, and then walks through the door an hour and a half later. The dinners and holidays that get interrupted with phone calls and the alarm sound. Being there to offer hugs because you can see by the look in his eyes he could use one. Keeping the chief in check with his family schedule, the school conference nights, and the dinners with friends. It's very important that someone keeps him in check with family life. Sometimes this job just sucks you in before you know it, it's 4:30 in the afternoon. Chief Sadowski, I offer you one piece of advice. There is a rule I have tried my best to follow here at West Boylston Fire, and that is family first. Please keep that in mind, especially for you and your family, as you take over this week as Fire Chief.
Chief just said, Jim, I gotta go. Before I introduce the guest of honor, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to Jennifer Warren Diamond, who has recently been named the town administrator of the town of West Boylston. And subject to successful contract negotiations that begin tomorrow, she'll be on board on Tuesday, September the 6th. So welcome, Jennifer.
Massachusetts 01583.
Should I speak?
Welcome to my life.
Okay.
So just a few more hours.
What did I say about the awkward approach, right? So, I am pleased and honored, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce Chief Mark Sadowski, his wife Christine. Please stand, Christine. His children, Chloe, Mason, and Serena. Chief Welch, would you do the honors of pinning Chief Sadowski?
Witness this. You were supposed to be going.
Please step back. Town Administrator Damian Barczak. What did I say? Okay. Town Clerk Damian Barczak will conduct the official swearing in of Chief Sadowski.
I, Mark Sadowski, solemnly swear that and affirm that I will faithfully and honestly discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as the fire chief for the town of West Boylston to the best of my ability, in accordance with the Constitution of the United States of America, the law of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and my life.
So I need to start with a few thank yous. First, to my family. I've had the support of my family since I was a teenager. As a Holden and fire explorer, I was 15 or 16 years old. Had some great advisors and a lot of friends that got me into the fire service. And I also had my mom to give me a ride up to the station because I was too young to drive. So, for all the young people, where there's a will, there's a way. You may not be able to get there, or you may be huffing and puffing on your bicycle trying to make it to the station, but at the end it'll be worth it. And that's how it has gone for me. My family has also had to tolerate, as Chief Welch had alluded to, many, many years of working long shifts, overnights, holidays, special events. No matter where you are and what you're doing, everything gets dropped when that bell goes off. That's just something that eventually becomes instinctive in all people that serve in emergency services. Police officers can speak to it, anyone that works in EMS or the fire service. Whenever that bell goes off, we all just come to full alert and know that we're needed somewhere else. And oftentimes it's those events that take priority over dinner, over holidays, over special events. Forever, someone's birthday falls on your shift, or you still haven't gotten home from work yet when everybody's expecting you in the morning to get packed up and go on vacation. These are some of the inconveniences that come with the job, and without the support of family and friends, you can never do it. It's not a one-person show. by any stretch of the imagination. So I would like to thank my friends in the Holden and Rutland Fire Departments who got me initiated in training, getting off the ground as a firefighter and EMT and as a call firefighter. Several of these people are here tonight, people that I served with almost 30 years ago in the towns of Holden and Rutland, and they are still my very dear friends to this day. We don't see each other every day like we used to, but that bond is still there, and they are here for me, as you can see. So thank you guys for being here. For the Southborough Fire Department, they've offered me my first career opportunity, promotions, and professional development training. If it wasn't for my years working there, I wouldn't have evolved into the person that stands before you today. I had the opportunity to serve as a firefighter, a paramedic, officer in charge, a lieutenant, a captain, and was supported every step of the way as I endeavored towards the rank of chief. And even though I had to leave that department and that community to see that through, they supported me, and I would like to thank the members of the Southborough Fire Department that I did today. New opportunities for other people. Some very good friends of mine were recently promoted into lieutenant positions, as well as some other friends. It opened the door for them to start their career as firefighters. So it's actually a good thing when people move up and move on. So, and then I would like to thank the town of West Boylston for giving me the opportunity to lead this department, especially Chief Welch, who was advocated for and supported my appointment. Town Administrator Jim Purcell, who facilitated the entire process, and the select board that supported their decisions to bring me on board here. If it wasn't for any of these people, this would not be happening today. So thank you. I really mean that. My plans for the future. My goal is to help facilitate and develop plans for the West Boylston Fire Department and becoming a spearhead agency in the region. To create a template of well-trained, responsive, and a passionate group of service-minded people who deliver to the community and the surrounding cities and towns competence, efficiency, and deliver professional service in response to whatever emergency or challenge is presented. My goal is to have this become a role model organization for others to follow and emulate of how a fire department should operate. This is not one person's task, but a culmination of many people working together towards a common goal. The enduring legacy that this will have will far outlive any of us that are developing these plans today. But that's the measure of greatness within an organization. This place will live far beyond any of us that are standing here today. And someday people are going to look back at this and say, do you remember when? Do you remember when that fire department had, a station in this spot? Or had these people working there, or had these trucks, or this amount of staff, or whatever the case may be. Because the fire department, like everything else, evolves over years. And for those of us that started in Holden, worked in Rutland, worked in Southborough, and worked in West Boylston, these places change, the faces change, and the legacy of the department just grows. It grows and it grows. And if you look at where these organizations are today versus where they were 30 years ago when I started in this business, you would be proud to say that you were a member of one of those organizations. And I was fortunate to be a member of all those organizations. So once again, I would like to thank you. I'd like to thank everybody that came out here tonight. Thank all the departments that worked so hard for so many years to bring me to this level. And to the town of West Boylston for your support, your trust, and most importantly, the friendship of all the people that are here today. Thank you.
Just two more things. The ceremony is officially concluded, and I'm told the most important announcement for me to make tonight is that there are refreshments to be served, and please stay and mingle. Thank you very much.